Maya. Today we're going to be recommending books based off of your zodiac sign. This is something I haven't seen anyone do, which is extremely surprising given the fact that BookTube relies on zodiac signs for everything. The thing about zodiac signs is that I don't get them at all. I can't tell if everyone just jokes about zodiac signs or if everyone takes them seriously. A lot of people are like, well, my Virgo jumped out. Do you genuinely believe your Virgo jumped out, or is it just like a meme? I know some people like really rely on their zodiac sign to tell things about themselves, just like people rely on their Hogwarts houses. But the thing is, Hogwarts houses, you have to like take a quiz and answer questions based off of the way you are. Zodiac signs is just based off of when your parents kind of just, you know what I mean? Don't come for me. I did like 2 hours of research. The extent of my zodiac sign knowledge was those Instagram accounts that you would follow in 2014 that was like,
your favorite ice cream flavor based off your zodiac sign.
And maybe I'm salty because my zodiac sign has nothing to do with who I am. I'm a Pisces, but I don't feel like a Pisces at all. Anyway, I'm gonna be recommending you books off of your zodiac sign. It's like very simple, like straight zodiac signs. I did like a little bit more digging into zodiac signs and started realizing that you could be an Aquarius moon and a Venus star. That's not one of them. And then I got scared. So we're not doing any of that stuff. We're just doing straight zodiac signs. If I recommend you your least favorite book, just know it doesn't really matter. We're gonna be starting with Aquarius. I'm gonna be looking down my phone because I wrote notes. You're progressive, original, independent, humanitarian. You like having fun with friends, helping others, fighting for causes, intellectual conversations, and you're a good listener. Aquarius born are shy and quiet, but on the other hand, they can be eccentric and energetic. However, in both cases, they are deep thinkers and highly intellectual people who love helping others. When I hear that description of Aquarius, I can only think this book needs to be some sort of like someone who's solving a mystery because they're using their smarts to help other people and they're just kind of thinking. For this, I actually have two recommendations. One that's like really whack, so if you're looking for something real whack, real quirky, I think it's a hit or miss. It's Jacoby. It takes place in late 1800s and it follows a young girl who moves to New York. What's new? It's a YA book, so it can't be anywhere except for New York or London. And there's a crime scene and she meets this dude. And this dude is kind of weird. And turns out this dude can see supernatural things. I swear it's not like the Mortal Instruments. He's like the only dude who can see supernatural things. And the police kind of hates him because he's always like, oh, it's like ghosts. And they're like, shut the fuck up, ghosts don't exist. But they do. First of all, it's a platonic relationship, which is kind of dope. At least I'm at the second book right now and it's still a platonic relationship, so dope. Jacoby is whack as fuck. Like, he's just weird. Like, think Dumbledore, but like he's 20. So I think if you're an Aquarius, you might like this. If you're not that adventurous of an Aquarius and you want something a little bit more typical, I recommend Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. I really enjoyed these. These are kind of like, they're not like high tier YA, super well written, crazy, weird. It's definitely sort of safe if you're looking for that, but it's really interesting. Stalking Jack the Ripper is the author's kind of take on the Jack the Ripper murders. It follows this girl and a guy, and they both want to become, you know, those scientists that like cut bodies open to figure out why someone died. It follows them and they have to figure out who's killing all these bodies. It's really interesting, it's really entertaining. You fly through it. The next sign is Pisces. Your strengths. Or you're compassionate, artistic, intuitive, gentle, wise, and musical. You like being alone, sleeping, music, romance, visual media, swimming, spiritual themes. They often find themselves in company of very different people. They're selfless. They're always willing to help other people without hoping to get anything back. So definitely what I came out of this when I was trying to find recommendations for Pisces was the sort of artistic side, the visual medium. There's so many good YA books that focus on art. So for this sign, I also have two recommendations. So the first one is I'll Give You the Sun. This is a fantastic story that focuses on familial relationships and art. It definitely shaped the way I look at my siblings and how I spend time like that. It's split into two parts and it's about these twins and sort of how their lives go as they grow up. It's definitely super emotional, and it's definitely something that I recommend. If you haven't read, this is some high tier YA. And the second book that I have to recommend is Eliza and Her Monsters. Again, I'm sure you've heard of this one. This one is definitely more hyped recently. It's very similar to Fangirl and Radio Silence, so if you like those two, or one of those, then I think you'll like Eliza and Her Monsters. So that's what I have to say for Pisces. Emo head asses. The next zodiac sign we're going to be recommending is Aries. My Aries fellas. You guys are courageous, determined, confident, enthusiastic, optimistic, honest, and passionate. You guys like comfortable clothes, taking on leadership roles, physical challenges, individual sports. Basically, you guys are Gryffindors. It'd be like that sometimes. I was trying to come up with like underrated fantasies that no one talks about on BookTube, and I realized that I don't read any underrated fantasies. If you haven't read Illuminae, I super recommend Illuminae for all you Aries motherfuckers out there. You guys will love this. Also Harry Potter, but like, who hasn't read Harry Potter? So essentially, it's in the future, a planet has been bombed by terrorists, and the only ship that made it out alive, or there's like only 2 ships that made it off the planet, and the terrorist group is following them because they don't want them to go to other planets and be like, oh my god, the terrorist group is attacking us. Or is it a terrorist group? It might be the government. I don't know. It's like a bad group that doesn't want their presence to be known. They're being pursued through space, and then they catch them, and they're also running out of food and water, and everything is kind of falling apart, and it's a great book. That was a terrible description, but I'm sure you know what Illuminae is. The Hunger Games is also a very Aries read. If you haven't read The Hunger Games, I highly recommend, especially because there's going to be new books coming out soon. Sister Suzanne ran out of dough. Taurus! Okay, you guys are reliable, patient, practical, devoted, responsible, stable. You guys like gardening. That's kind of embarrassing. Cooking, music, romance, high quality clothes, working with hands. Feel the need to always be surrounded by love and beauty, turn to the material world, hedonism, and physical pleasures. I don't know why, but Outlander is the first thing that came to my mind, and I think I'm gonna stick with that. This is definitely super smutty, but I feel like Taurus is the group that's gonna be smutty.
You guys are gonna like that sexy time.
Outlander is full of sexy times, and I personally don't like sexy times that much, but I still think Outlander was a good time. It's essentially the story of a woman who's a doctor who gets sent back to Scotland in the future. In the past, you learn a lot about Scotland's history, and it has like soul, right? It's not like a dumb smut or like just a romance novel. Like, it's historical, there's war, there's gore, like there's a bunch of stuff. It's very varied. I hate myself. It's very different. There's a lot going on. The next sign is Gemini. You guys are gentle, affectionate, curious, adaptable. You have the ability to learn quickly and exchange ideas. You like music, books, magazine, chats with nearly anyone, short trips around the town. Expressive and quick-witted, Gemini represents 2 different personalities in one, and you will never be sure which one you will face. They're sociable, communicative, and ready for fun, with a tendency to suddenly get serious, thoughtful, and restless. They are fascinated with the world itself, extremely curious, with a constant feeling that there is not enough time to experience everything they want to see. There is no other book perfect for a Gemini based off this description than the Raven Boy Quartet. The Raven Boys is a fantastic series that I read this year. It's full of intrigue, it's very weird, it's a bunch of teenagers that are funny but also really mature, and they're on the hunt for a king. Honestly, I love these books. They're freaking amazing. And there's a character that thinks he's running out of time. This book has so many faces, and it's constantly changing its mood. And I think a lot of people have heard of it, but I don't know if that many people have read it, especially with this new generation of BookTube. So like, next we're gonna be talking about Cancer, which honestly is a terrible name. I don't know why someone called it Cancer, but if your zodiac sign is Cancer, strap in, baby. You guys are tenacious, highly imaginative, loyal, emotional, sympathetic, persuasive. You guys like art, home-based hobbies, relaxing near or in water, helping loved ones, a good meal with friends. Deeply intuitive and sentimental, Cancer can be one of those challenging zodiac signs to get to know. They are very emotional and sensitive and care deeply about matters of the family and their home. For me, I got like this sort of sense of very family-driven, very similar to sort of Pisces in a sense, but even more family and relationship driven. And I recently read The Immortalists, and I think this is the perfect book for Cancer. It's essentially the story of these 4 siblings that, when they're young, in the 60s in New York, go see the psychic who tells them all individually when they're going to die, like the specific date that they're going to die. And then you kind of follow this family and each individual sibling as they kind of grapple with the idea, was the woman actually a psychic, or was she bullshitting us? Is she just getting in our head? And you follow each individual sibling through a different era of time, like the 80s, 90s, and it's just a beautiful story about family. This book also really changed the way I look at my family and I spend time with my family. One of the first part follows a boy in San Francisco in the late 70s and the early 80s, and it's just such beautiful writing. And I felt like I was there during this amazing time where gay culture and LGBTQ plus culture rose up. The next sign is Leo. The Lion Fellas. You guys are creative, passionate, generous, warm-hearted, cheerful, humorous. You like theater, taking holidays, being admired, expensive things, bright colors, fun with friends. People born under the sign of Leo are natural-born leaders. They're dramatic, creative, self-confident, dominant, and extremely difficult to resist, able to achieve anything they want in an area of life they commit to. If that doesn't immediately make you think of the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I don't know what else. So I'm not going to recommend the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo though, because I feel like that's really cheesy and like everyone said this book, so it's not really a book recommendation. But a book that I recently read that I thought was very similar to 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but like different enough that it wasn't like a disappointment, was June by Miranda Beverly Whitmore. This follows the story of a woman called Cassie who's sort of mourning the death of her grandmother, June. And she kind of only inherits the home of her grandma. And then later, a man knocks on her door and tells her that she's inherited the vast fortune of this dude called Jack Montgomery. And it's kind of like a big, like, what the fuck? Because Jack Montgomery has granddaughters and has family. Why did she, this random woman, get his fortune? It's Hollywood intrigue, it's mystery, it's wow. I really enjoyed it, and I think you'll like June as well if you are a Leo. Next sign is Virgo. You guys are loyal, analytical, kind, hardworking, practical. You like animals, healthy foods. Virgos are always paying attention to the smallest details, and their deep sense of humanity makes them one of the most careful signs of the zodiac. And although they are often tender, their heart may be close to the outer world. This is a sign that is often misunderstood, not because they lack the ability to express, but because they won't accept their feelings as valid, true, or even relevant when opposed to reason. I wanted something that was sort of coming of age, but also with a character that was very analytical, very smart, but had seeds of self-doubt. And for that was The Disreputable History of Frankie Lauder Banks. This is a really smart social commentary that I think you could actually pull a lot of meaning from. It follows this girl who goes to one of the prestigious private schools on the East Coast. You know, Frankie is a woman, obviously, and there's these secret societies in these schools that are only meant for boys. And that kind of makes her mad, because what the frig, you know? So you follow her as she kind of tries to dismantle this group, and it follows a really interesting character who's a big badass. Honestly, big dick energy from her. And I definitely think that if you're a Virgo, this will click with you, because it's like, yeah. Let's talk about Libra. Libra, you guys are cooperative, diplomatic, gracious, fair-minded, social. You guys like harmony, gentleness, sharing with others, the outdoors. You guys are peaceful, fair, and hate being alone. Partnership is very important for you, and you guys like balance and symmetry and constantly chasing justice and equality. For this, I think I would recommend Dear Martin. This book is about police brutality against African Americans in the United States, and it follows a boy who goes to this white school as per usual. And he's actually in speech and debate, and it follows him trying to sort of bring light to this issue very similarly to The Hate U Give. I personally liked this more than The Hate U Give. I think this book is in the pursuit of justice, and it's enlightening these injustices, and so I think that's why it would be perfect for Libras. Next, we're going to be talking about Scorpios. You guys are resourceful, brave, passionate, stubborn, a true friend. You like truth, facts, being right, longtime friends, teasing, a grand passion. You guys are passionate, assertive people. You are determined and decisive and will do research until they find out the truth. They're great leaders, sometimes aware of the situation, and also features prominently in resourcefulness. I don't really know what that means. For this, I'm going to be recommending It Ends With Us. This is a beautiful story, and even though it's Colleen Hoover, which I know is kind of under fire always, people don't like Colleen Hoover because they're woke, you don't really want to know what this book is about. I think you really want to go in not knowing what it's about, but it's about a woman who gets what she wants and gets what she deserves and sets an amazing example to other women. Based off of other reviews, I think it does handle the topic really well. I don't know, man. It's about a woman who doesn't find the truth, but finds like what the truth of being a woman and being in a relationship and being in the workplace means for her, and it's inspiring, baby. The next book I'm going to be talking about is The Sagittarius Mother Truckers. You guys are generous, idealistic, you guys have a great sense of humor, you guys like freedom, travel, philosophy, being outdoors, you guys are curious, energetic, you guys are extroverted, optimistic, enthusiastic, and like change. For this, I'm going to be recommending Rebel Belle by Rachel Hawkins. This is a book that was big on BookTube like years ago, and now no one talks about it, but it's freaking hilarious. It's an urban fantasy. It follows this really funny, extroverted girl that goes through, it's like, think Spider-Man, but a girl that's a lot more extroverted. It's such a fun book, and I don't know why no one talks about it anymore. I had so much fun reading it. And finally, we're talking about Capricorn. You Capricorns are responsible, disciplined, have self-control, have good manners. You guys like family, tradition, music, understated status, quality craftsmanship. Capricorn is a sign that represents time and responsibility. They are masters of self-control and have the ability to lead the way, make solid and realistic plans. This is possibly the weirdest recommendation on this. I don't really have a reason, but I think Genuine Fraud is a good book for you guys. I don't know, other than recommending a business book, I have a business book here. This is a really good business book that I think you might guys like. It's about building a story brand. So if you're marketing for a story, Genuine Fraud is a mystery that takes place upside down. No, backwards. So you essentially go from the murder backwards in the story. Like, that's how you read the story. And it's so fucking weird. But it's organized and it's timed well, and it's just, I feel like a Capricorn will like this, but also be angry at it, but also like it, because it's kind of chaotic, but it's like a Capricorn will want to tame it. Can you tell that I like E. Lockhart? Those are all the signs. Wow. Comment down below if you think my recommendation sucks, because it probably will. Comment down below if you think I should do this again. Comment down below who you think would be better at to do this, because I definitely don't know anything about signs. As you can see, I've been reading off the website this entire time. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I am participating in the reading rush, if you were wondering. I'm also really excited about the Marvel announcements. I'll see you next time. Bye.